What's going down? Will Freeman, revolutionarylifestyles.com. Talking to you today about why you can't be a sucker for yourself and why significance can't be your sole source of self-esteem. And I'm talking to the successful guys here. I'm talking to guys who are doing well, who are on the path. This is a problem that I've noticed with a lot of successful people. It's a problem I used to have, because a lot of the time what drives a guy to be successful and to gain significance, which is really, just status in the modern tribe that we live in, this tribe full of 6 billion people, is the fact that at some point in their life they didn't feel significant. They felt insignificant, or they felt small, or they grew up without a lot of money like I did. I would, had secondhand clothes, and, my mom was a single mom and was always trying to find a babysitter or somebody's house that I could stay in before school, and then they could drive me to school. And, I saw the kind of money that other people had, kind of lives that other people had, and I didn't like it. And I think it's the same way with a lot of people who are successful, who are really serious about becoming successful. But here's the thing. Significance can't be your sole source of self-esteem. It will choke you to death. It will make you miserable, okay? And the name of this game, of playing the game of life, is happiness. So if your sense of significance is choking you, it doesn't matter how successful you are. It's hurting you. Okay, it's worthless. It's worthless if it doesn't make you consistently happy over time. Everything's worthless if it doesn't make you consistently happier over time. Okay? Every relationship you have, belief system that you have, if it doesn't make you consistently happier, it's making you consistently more miserable. It's worthless. It's got to go. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. We are still tribal animals. We all still are interested in having status, having higher status. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with chasing success. There's nothing wrong with competing for success. If anything, a lot of people are lying to themselves. You see this a lot with sort of the new age spiritual people, talking about that it doesn't matter. The reality is, success and significance is a motivator, and it's an important one. Okay, but it can't be your sole source of self-esteem. Right? There's so many different ways to have self-esteem. Okay, you can have self-esteem for your discipline. You can have self-esteem for your character, for being a good son, for being a good father, for being a good boyfriend. For being in shape, for the way that you dress, for your style, for the amount of money that you have, for the amount of money that you're making, for your ability to get up at 5 a.m. every day and do what other people aren't willing to do, for having a good heart, for the people that you help, for doing good works. So many different ways to get self-esteem, and that's a massively important concept, is having multiple areas of self-esteem. Let me say that again. You want multiple areas of self-esteem, okay? So that if something didn't go well in your business, you can go into the gym, even if it's not your day to lift, and you can go get after it in the gym and try and break a record, so that if one area is falling behind, you can just get after one of the other areas to make sure that you end that day on a win. And that's been a huge concept for me. Like, you always want to have at least a couple wins during the day. Even if you're, you had a disastrous day. I had a day the other week where I was trying to automate my email funnel so that you guys would get instantly notified whenever a post came out. I didn't have to do it manually. Well, Aweber decided to send my entire RSS feed, 400 emails out at once. I was able to delete 300 of them in the process, but basically 100 emails went out to each of my 6,000 subscribers in the period of about 10 minutes. Okay? Most of you, hopefully, went to your spam box or you recognized the error and you stayed loyal. But I got a decent number of angry emails, people who misguidedly thought that that was a marketing ploy, the absolute last marketing device I'd ever used. And I lost about 500 subscribers that day, of 6,000. Okay? But most importantly, like, the last thing I wanted to do was have people who trusted me with their data, you know, being upset or feeling like, you know, I'm attempting to spam them or something like that. The reputation, you know, my reputation's more important than the money. So it was a frustrating day. But you know what? I just went after my course harder. I went after it harder in the gym. And I still came out of the day with a few wins. And it wasn't a big deal. And at the end of the day, I waited a week. I sent out a newsletter. I apologized for it. And I got a lot of nice, kind emails about people who understood, who were forgiving, who were, you know, who were smart enough to recognize that, hey, this was obviously not on purpose. And it eventually turned into a win. But if my, you know, significance, which is like, you know, through my business, through the amount of followers I have, if that was like my sole source of self-esteem, right? I mean, that day would have put me into depression, okay? But there's so many other areas where I'm able to get self-esteem from. And I call this don't be a sucker for yourself, okay? Like, I'm by no means the most successful person or have the biggest brand or make the most money or anything like that, but you know, I've got about 15,000 followers, subscribers on YouTube, another 6,000 on the newsletter. They'll probably get about 200,000 views a month total across the board, making good money. But at the end of the day, if I go to an airport, no one gives a shit, right? I could scream at the customs guy, hey, I have a personal brand. I'm on YouTube. People follow me. People pay to talk to me. I shouldn't have to take my shoes off. Well, they're gonna put me in that little fucking room and it's gonna be a matter of time before I'm in some big trouble, okay? But I recognize the fact that, you know, to some people, I'm significant. And I wanna be able to increase my impact around the world. Absolutely. But I always know my position in each relationship and with who I'm dealing with. And my self-esteem doesn't hang on the balance of that significance. It's one of the things that I do. You know, it's one area where I get state from. Business is just one of the areas where, you know, I'm aiming to distinguish myself. Okay? I remember this quote, if you're a wrestling fan, you'll appreciate it, but it was Scott Hall talking about Bret Hart. When he visited Bret Hart's house, Bret Hart had all kinds of pictures and posters and trophies of himself everywhere. And by that I mean posters of him, you know, posing as the Hitman character in all the rooms. And I remember Scott Hall saying, like, he was a mark for himself. Mark means sucker in wrestling terminology. That's actually how they refer to the viewers of wrestling, as marks. Because marks originally thought wrestling was real. Fairly similar to people who buy into politics. They're marks, in the sense that they think that the process is fully transparent, but that's another story. You know how the fuck I feel on politics. So that quote stuck with me, and I said, man, I never want to be a mark for myself. In the sense of, I have an image, I like that image, I enjoy that image, I enjoy having some significance, I enjoy pursuing more significance, but you got to recognize that identity, that significance is just one tool, right? And it doesn't parlay into every relationship. I mean, to your mother, you're still her 10-year-old son, you know? To your girlfriend, you're something different, right? She's still gonna want you to be around and have time for her and be loving and available and all this stuff, you know? Yelling at her about your bank account or your significance is extremely misguided. So recognize significance will choke you to death if that is your sole source of self-esteem. And the way to play it is significance as one source of self-esteem. You have multiple sources of self-esteem, and all those sources of self-esteem are just tools for state. State being your mental, emotional, and physical sensations, and your entire life is just a series of state changes. Self-esteem is just a tool to get state. You want to get as many sources of self-esteem as possible, because just like in business, one is too close to none. One source of self-esteem is too close to none. You want to have multiple levels of that, okay? And recognize that self-esteem isn't even the end goal. This is the deep shit that you gotta understand right here. Recognize that the end goal is state. The end goal is consistent happiness. Self-esteem itself is only a tool to get state. Within self-esteem, there are multiple areas. They are all just tools to get state, okay? So you can enjoy your life without even thinking about yourself. Say, for example, when you're in a presence walk, like I am, or I would be if I wasn't filming it, a lot of the time I lose all sense of myself. I'm just observing, I'm enjoying the weather, I'm listening to some music. I'm not thinking about self-esteem at all. I'm not thinking about my significance at all. In a deeper level, let's say you're having some karezza, deeply bonded spiritual sex with your woman, you feel like you're merging into the same person. Your whole body is alive with bliss and loving feelings. You're not thinking about yourself at all. You're not thinking about your sense of self-esteem at all, or your significance at all. And you're in an incredible state. Okay, it's the same thing if you're reading something that you're interested in, right? You're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the book, okay? Or if you're playing chess like I do, you know? You're not thinking about you, right? Your energy is directed outwards. Or if you're helping somebody, you're thinking about that, the help that you're giving that person, okay? So there's, within self-esteem, you want multiple levels, but there's also many other ways to get state that don't even involve self-esteem, where you're not even cognizant of the fact that you're a human being in a body because your focus has changed, okay? And if you're a long-time reader, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. You're not even a human being in a body. You're the Holy Spirit temporarily incarnated into a body to experience this game of life, man. But the state is what we're after, okay? So recognize that. I mean, even if you're just, you know, in a bad state because, you know, something happened, you lost some followers, or you know, your image took a hit in business or whatever it is, you can just go out for a present walk and forget about it. And, you know, you feel like you're 7 years old, like doing a vision quest in a new city or something, you know, hopping on a plane, going to a new city, right? So many things that you can do, okay? So that's crucial. Do not let self-esteem, or do not let significance be your sole source of self-esteem. Let it be one source. Have multiple sources, okay? And recognize that self-esteem itself is only one source of state, and you want to have as many sources of state as possible, okay? You know, whether that's exercise, sex, prayer, acts of charity, so many things. And you want your ideal day to have as many of those things as possible. It's as simple as that. All right, so if you want some help with this, check me out, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/coaching. If you feel like I can help, I'd love to work with you. And if you just want to pick up one of my products, it's going to help you elevate your game, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/products. Okay. The product I most recommend is How to Get Organized, because that's the foundation. of state as far as I'm concerned. Having the organization and having the discipline. It also gives you a lot of those mental tools to create goals outside of just pure significance. Okay? So I hope this message found you well. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification button. If you don't want to do any of that, man, just watch all my stuff for free. Holler at me in the comment section. Much love to you.